Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, as we learn from St. Augustine, Doctor of the Church, while we read his book, Confessions. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. Welcome to our reading today. We will hear a lot about wills, referring to like our rational will, in our reading today, and it can be a bit confusing. So I thought we'd go over some important Catholic teachings before we read this in order to get our minds in the right place. So under the Manichees' influence, St. Augustine had believed that humans have several wills, like a good will and a bad will, and maybe more than two wills, all competing against each other. This is not true. As humans, we have one will, a rational human will. St. Thomas Aquinas distinguishes, though, that our will has an intellectual appetite and a sensitive appetite. Our intellectual appetite is when we will things of a higher order. Our sensitive appetite is when we will things of a lower order, like passions and bodily desires and things of that nature. These two appetites do compete with each other at times, which makes it seem like there are two wills. There are not. It's just that our one will has to learn to master its lower appetites and not let them rule. Christ, though, does have two wills. He has a divine will and a human will. And while he has two wills, they are completely in line with each other and they don't compete. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Christ's human will, though suffering, still aligns with his divine will, which is also the will of his Father. So as we read, remember, humans only have one will, and that because we have competing inclinations, this can be confused as having two or more wills, but that is not the case. We just have the one. Christ, though, has two wills, divine and human, and they are aligned fully with each other. And so if you get confused with all the will talk that we will hear today, just remember those two important Catholic teachings. I will read today and then we will be done in order to keep things relatively short. We are reading from Book 8, Chapter 10 on page 172. There are many abroad who talk of their own fantasies and lead men's minds astray. They assert that because they have observed that there are two wills at odds with each other when we try to reach a decision, we must therefore have two minds of different natures, one good, the other evil. Let them vanish at God's presence as the smoke vanishes. As long as they hold these evil beliefs, they are evil themselves, but even they will be good if they see the truth and accept it, so that your apostle may say to them, "Once you were all darkness, now in the Lord you are all daylight." These people want to be light, not in the Lord, but in themselves, because they think that the nature of the soul is the same as God. In this way, their darkness becomes denser still, because in their abominable arrogance, they have separated themselves still further from you, who are the true light, which enlightens every soul born into the world. I say to them, take care what you say, and blush for shame. Enter God's presence and find there enlightenment. Here is no room for downcast looks. When I was trying to reach a decision about serving the Lord, my God, as I had long intended to do, it was I who willed to take this course, and again, it was I who willed not to take it. It was I, and I alone. But I neither willed to do it, nor refused to do it with my full will. So I was at odds with myself. I was throwing myself into confusion. All this happened to me, although I did not want it, but it did not prove that there was some second mind in me besides my own. It only meant that my mind was being punished. My action did not come from me, but from the sinful principle that dwells in me. It was part of the punishment of a sin freely committed by Adam, my first father. If there were as many different natures in us as there are conflicting wills, we should have a great many more natures than merely two. Suppose that someone is trying to decide whether to go to the theater or to the Manichees' meeting house. The Manichees will say, clearly he has two natures, the good one bringing him here to us, and the bad one leading him away. Otherwise, how can you explain this dilemma of two opposing wills? I say that the will to attend their meetings is just as bad as the will to go off to the theater, but in their opinion, it can only be a good will that leads a man to come to them. Suppose then that one of us is wavering between two conflicting wills and cannot make up his mind whether to go to the theater or to our church. Will not the Manichees be embarrassed to know what to say? Either they must admit, which they will not do, that it is a good will which brings a man to our church, just as in their opinion it is a good will which brings their own communicants and adherents to their church, or they must presume that there are two evil natures and two evil minds in conflict in one man. If they think this, they will disprove their own theory that there is one good and one evil will in man. The only alternative is for them to be converted to the truth and to cease to deny that when a man tries to make a decision, he has a one soul which is torn between conflicting wills. So let us hear no more of their assertion, when they observe two wills in conflict in one man, that there are two opposing minds in him, one good and the other bad, and that they are in conflict because they spring from two opposing substances and two opposing principles. For you, O God of truth, prove that they are utterly wrong. You demolish their arguments and confound them completely. It may be that both the wills are bad. For instance, a man may be trying to decide whether to commit murder by poison or by stabbing, whether he should swindle another man out of one part of his property or another, that is, if he cannot obtain both, whether he should spend his money extravagantly on pleasure or hoard it like a miser, or whether he should go to the games in the circus or to the theater, when there is a performance at both places on the same day. In this last case, there may be a third possibility, that he should go and rob another person's house if he has the chance. There may even be a fourth choice open to him, because he may wonder whether to go and commit adultery if the occasion arises at the same time. These possibilities may all occur at the same moment, and all may seem equally desirable. The man cannot do all these things at once, and his mind is torn between four wills which cannot be reconciled, perhaps more than four, because there are a great many things that he might wish to do. But the Manichees do not claim that there are as many different substances in us as this. It is just the same when the wills are good. If I question the Manichees whether it is good to find pleasure in reading Paul's epistles, or in the tranquil enjoyment of a psalm, or in a discussion of the gospel, they will reply in each case that it is good. Supposing, then, that a man finds all these things equally attractive and the chance to do all of them occurs at the same time, is it not true that as long as he cannot make up his mind which of them he most wants to do, his heart is torn between several different desires? All these different desires are good, yet they are in conflict with each other until he chooses a single course to which the will may apply itself as a single whole, so that it is no longer split into several different wills. The same is true when the higher part of our nature aspires after eternal bliss, while our lower self is held back by the love of temporal pleasure. It is the same soul that wills both, but it wills neither of them with the full force of the will. So it is wrenched in two and suffers great trials, because while truth teaches it to prefer one course, habit prevents it from relinquishing the other. Well, I hope you aren't too jumbled up by all that talk about wills, but hopefully our reflection earlier helped make it seem a bit more clear. It's just kind of one of those things that you have to read through once, kind of think about, maybe go back and read it again, and then things start to fall into place. But that is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here soon, and until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.